In this video, we're going to learn how to select HTML elements using jQuery. So we're going to use the same source code that includes our three divs: Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft. Okay. So first of all, we're going to need to include our jQuery scripts. So using the Google CDN. So that goes in the head section of the web page. All right, and now we're gonna start writing some scripts there using jQuery. So first of all, we're gonna include all the scripts in the ready function. So we're gonna use the simplified version of that using only the dollar followed by the function. So okay, so the first selector we're going to use here is a selector that will select all HTML elements. And the syntax for that is going to be $ for select, and then we're going to put the selector inside quotes. And to select all the elements, we're going to need a star. Okay, so now we're selecting all the elements. And then we're gonna need a dot followed by the action. So the function we're gonna be using here is gonna be CSS, because we want to change the font size to 16 pixels for all the elements on the page. Okay, so the way to do that is by using the CSS function, and we're gonna put two parameters there. So the first parameter is font size, which is the same syntax we would have used if we change the font size in the style tag. Okay, and then we need to use a comma to separate the parameters, and the second one is going to be the value of the property, which is going to be 16 pixels in our case. Okay, so if we refresh the page, well, we don't see anything because we are already 16 pixels, but if we do something big there, so all the HTML elements are going to be really big. Okay, so that's the syntax for selecting all the HTML elements of the web page. Now, let's say we want to change the styling of all the paragraphs. So we want the text align to be centered. So now we want to select all the paragraphs of the web page. So we need the $ followed by the selector. And in our case, we're going to select all the paragraphs, and the syntax for that is P. Okay, and then if we're going to change the text align to center, again we're going to use the CSS function or method, and we're going to need two parameters there. So the first one is going to be the text align, and the second one, which is the value of the property, is going to be center. All right, and let's try it and see. Fine, we can see that all our paragraphs now, they are centered. Okay. Now, if we want to select all the paragraphs that are direct childs of divs, okay, the syntax is going to be div and then greater than sign and then paragraph. Okay, so if we comment that the first one and we refresh again, we can see that all these ones, they are centered because all of them, they are direct childs of divs. Okay, also if we want to style paragraphs that are siblings of divs, okay, so we need to use the caret sign, okay, like that. Now if we check, okay, so it is not working, and the reason why is because we don't have any paragraphs that are siblings of divs in our case. So if you want that, we need to add another paragraph next to the div so that it becomes its sibling. So let's try something right after Apple. Okay, so let's refresh the page. And now we can see that this paragraph, which is sibling of these divs, now has got the text align property changed to centered. All right. Okay. So we're gonna select all the paragraphs that are descendants of divs. So the syntax is div followed by space followed by paragraph. So now all the paragraphs that are descendants of divs, they're going to be styled using the text align property. So you can see that all these ones which are inside divs, they had their property of text align changed to centered. Okay, so now we're going to move to something else. So now we want to select elements by ID. So the syntax for that is, so we need the $sign followed by the selector, and we're going to need the number sign followed by the name of the ID. Okay, so in our case we want to select the element of ID grades, which is this one, and then we need to specify the action. So in our case we want to try something different now. We want to change the background color of this element to some other color. So let's so the syntax is background color, exactly as we find in the styling section, and let's use the color picker. Let's go for orange, for example. Okay, and let's see. So now we can see that the span grades has just changed to this color. Okay. Now if we want to select an element by class, so let's add another paragraph to Facebook. So it's going to be, let's call it paragraph 2, and let's give it a class of orange. Okay, and now we're going to select elements of class orange. Okay, $sign and then the selector. So basically we need a dot and then followed by the name of the class. It's exactly the same thing that we would use in the styling section to refer to elements of class orange, and then we're going to do same thing. We use the CSS function, and then we want to change the background color as well to orange. So let's try orange. Okay, so now we can see that it changed to background color of orange. Let's change the color of grades so that we don't mix up the properties. Let's go for another color. Let's try this, for example. All right. Now we want to select divs of class blue box and change their font family to sans serif. So again, so $sign and then followed by the selector, and in our case, so we want divs of class blue box. So we need to start with div and then dot followed by the name of the class blue box. Okay, and we want to change the font family. So this can be done using the CSS method. So the first parameter is going to be the font family, and then the second parameter is going to be the name of the font family, which is sans serif. Okay, so let's try that and see. And now we can see that the div of class blue box had its font family changed. Okay, now we're gonna try something else. Now we want to select the paragraphs which are first childs of another HTML element. Okay, so for example, if we want to select the first paragraph that is child of the div, here is going to be the first one, which is Facebook is great. Okay, but before we do that, let's just add another paragraph to the Facebook div and call it paragraph 3. Okay. Also, let's add something to the Apple div. So we're gonna add let's add a paragraph with a link in it. This is saying this is a link. Let's add another one here. This is another link. Okay, so now we wanted to select the first child paragraphs. So the syntax is going to be $, followed by the selector. In our case, is going to be paragraph, colon, and then first child. Okay, and we want to change text decoration, for example, to underline. So we want all the first paragraphs, which are child of another HTML element, to have a text decoration underlined. So the function again is CSS, and we will just use exactly the same syntax as in the styling. So text decoration, and we are setting that to underline. So now we can see that all the first child paragraphs, they are underlined. Okay, we can do the same thing with last child paragraphs. So if you duplicate that and we just change first child to last child, okay, and if you comment that one, we can see that last child, now they are underlined. And in Microsoft Div, there is only one paragraph, so it is also at last child, so that's why it's underlined. So now if you want to do the same thing for both first child and last child, so there is one way of combining selected HTML elements. So all we need to do is select both p first child and p last child by separating them using a comma inside the quotes. So p first child followed by p last child. Okay, and then we can get rid of this line, and now we will see that both first childs and last childs, they are underlined. Okay, we can see that.